Hello, everybody. Today I have another special guest with me. Her name is Deanna Harder. And Deanna used to be a bodybuilder, but now she has shifted her focus to powerlifting. And she has a lot to share with you today. So I'm going to quickly read her short bio, and then she's going to introduce herself a little bit more. So Deanna started in the fitness industry at the age of 16. And she has never looked back. Even at the young age, her energy and passion for fitness motivated and pushed others to excel, while she was teaching group exercise too at the local gym in her hometown, Dawson Creek in British Columbia. After completing a social work diploma at Northern Lights College and working in both social work and the fitness industry, it became clear that her calling to help people would be best served through fitness. Deanna competed for 10 years as a figure athlete in the Alberta Bodybuilding Association, and she loves physical culture and bodybuilding. In 2010 and 13, Deanna placed top 5 at the provincial level and excelled in the sport at an amateur level. Since 2014, though, she has shifted away from physique goals and focused on powerlifting. Although she appreciates the amount of discipline and dedication it requires to get the level of conditioning it takes to step on stage, a healthy and balanced lifestyle is her main priority. She specializes and helps her clients with female hormonal balance, eating disorders, and body image counseling. Welcome, Deanna. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Kirsten. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. It's a long one, isn't it?
Yes, and there's actually more, and I hope you're gonna tell us more about yourself. So why don't we just jump right in? Tell us who you are, what you're doing, and a little bit of your story.
Hey, I'm Deanna Harder from Edmonton, Canada, and I've been in the industry since the early age. Obviously, you mentioned 16, and then when I went to college, I took a 2-year diploma program called the Fitness Leadership Program. And before that, though, I was already teaching aerobics classes up to 6 a week. And I taught the football team, fitness, and I was really into the physical culture early. I had pictures of Monica Brandt on my wall. You might know who she is. She's a woman from the 90s that was a bodybuilder, physical specimen. And I really admired the physical part of the fitness, which led me into, training like a bodybuilder. After I graduated from my program, I moved to Edmonton, a bigger city. And they had a bigger culture here for bodybuilding. So I got into a gym called Hardcore Gym. So you can imagine the type of people that train there. And then I did my first show when I was 25, competed for 10 years. So at the age of 36, actually, I stepped off the stage in 2014. So I'm 41 now. And so 20 years is a long time to be hanging out in this little industry, huh?
Yes, it is a long time, and you have seen a lot during this time, like personally and with your clients. So why don't we talk about your health? I mean, throughout this journey, you experienced several times when you had an eating disorder, very messed up relationship with food, over-exercising. So why don't you just describe your life back then when you were actively training and competing for bodybuilding?
Yeah, so I often wonder, did the sport choose me or did I choose the sport because it was a place where I could hide out with my eating disorder? So with me, I started throwing up bulimia when I was 16. Once I started teaching aerobics, my body was on display in front of people. And I was never fat, but I always felt like I wasn't good enough. So I started restricting and counting calories at a very young age. Before there was apps, before people even knew, what it meant to be in a deficit or a surplus. But I would limit myself to 500 calories a day back then. And so that led into, I got results. So then I got compliments. And I was always known as like the fitness girl and the fit chick, right? And then that led into me wanting to choose bodybuilding because I could hide out there and use the bodybuilding show as a reason to diet. Well, Mom, I can't have dessert because I'm bodybuilding. I have a show coming up. And it got to be the normal thing where she would cook different food for me and prepare food differently for me than the family. And I was so strict, like literally counting to the gram, everything I ate. I would write in my journal every night what I ate, how much, because there was no apps back then. And if I did go over, I would punish myself by overtraining the next day. So it was a constant battle between calories in and burning them off. Right. So then, with bodybuilding, it was perfect for me because I could restrict, I could train 7 days a week, and I was rewarded for it.
Mm.
So I thrive. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you mentioned 500 calories a day. That's insanity. So did you track these 500 calories, and then when you went over, you worked out?
Even if it was just like oatmeal or carrots, or now I would eat 500 calories for breakfast, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm just in awe of what the human body will do to help you survive. You run on adrenaline. You basically shut down all kinds of other functions, which is probably why I lost my period back then and continue to try to get it back. I'm a well-fed woman now, but I think it takes a little bit of time, and we'll go into that. I know we'll talk about my hypothalamic amenorrhea, HA, a little bit later, but the bodybuilding scene was perfect for me. It's perfect for overachievers. It's perfect for type A people. And when you get rewarded for what you look like, you can't look back. You never look at your body the same way. You absolutely, I don't care who you are, you always have that picture in your head of what you could look like. And it's very triggering. It's very triggering, and it's hard not to compare.
Right. So let's go back to your very limited food intake, because I'm curious as to how long were you able to do it? Eat only 500 calories a day, or was there like a next disorder and the next disorder, and how did they look like?
Well, after that was like grade 8, grade 9, and then when I got older and I started teaching, I started hanging out with other bodybuilders, and they were like, "Oh no, you need more protein." So I'm like, "Oh, okay. I actually need to fuel myself to build muscle." So then I started eating more, but I still restrict. So that grade 8, grade 9 is where I was really low, and then I switched into eating more. But then I started purging. So sometimes I would only limit myself to 1,200 calories, but I would be so starving that I would even binge on things like oatmeal or too much chicken, and I would try to purge it. So then that led into the bulimia stint. And I would never ever, like, I know a lot of my clients who are bulimic, they will purge on foods that they can throw up very easily, like ice cream or things. They have a trick. There's tricks to this, okay? They would eat a certain amount of like fast food or soft food, and it was easier to purge. Do you understand how dark it gets? It's dark. So with me, I would stick to my clean foods, but if I did eat too much of them, I would purge them. And that lasted until I was in my 20s. And nobody, I was very secretive about it, because eating disorders, they thrive in secret. So there was a method to my madness.
You mentioned that your mom would cook you separate meals and all that. So did she ever realize that something's going on and that it's not normal for such a young girl to starve herself that way?
Yeah, well, she would be happy when I would sit with the family and eat. Then she knew I was fueling myself. But she would know if I was purging. She would knock on the bathroom door, and I would say, "Oh, I'm having a shower." Like, I would run the water while I would purge so that she couldn't hear anything. You think she's dumb? So then my family had an intervention with me. And they sat down in the living room, and I walked out, and they all were like, "We know what you're doing." And then I defended it. I was like, "You guys are crazy. You just hate it that I have a goal and I want to be fit, and you don't understand." And I defended my eating disorder because it was my best friend. At that time, it consumed me. It would stress me out if I wasn't able to eat in secret, or if I had to eat in a restaurant where I didn't know what was in the food. I would have like heart palpitations, and I would be shaking while I would eat. So then I got eating disorder counseling very quickly after my parents called me out.
Did it help?
Oh yeah. It's changed my whole life. So going to college is when I got counseling, because I went into the fitness leadership diploma program, where I also thrived, because we had to do probably we had a cardio class, we had a rock climbing class, we had a muscle class, like a fitness, bodybuilding class or hypertrophy class, weight training. Then we had to take swimming, we had tennis, and we had to do all the fitness stuff in phys ed. So I got to play sports all day and then take exercise physiology, and I was like immersed in the physical culture. But I was no longer purging at this point, because I did go to the counseling. But I went from purging to exercise bulimia, and I'm sure you know what that is. It's when you use exercise to burn off calories, just like you would purge calories. I purged calories in that form, in burning them off. That doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
You mess your body up pretty quickly.
Right. So you mentioned that you still do have hypothalamic amenorrhea. I know you have been working on it
Yes.
to get your period back and to get your hormones back on track. But what other symptoms did you get as a result of restricting your food and having all the purging and binging? And how did it make you feel? What happened to your body?
Well, at least when I was when I was obsessed with exercise, I was fueling enough. So I would eat. I wasn't afraid of food anymore at that point. So I was fueling up to 2,000 calories a day. I know it. I didn't track at this point. So I was no longer afraid of food, but I had this dopamine spike when I would train. So I would exercise up to 6 hours a day. I don't know
Wow.
how I had, well, because I was working in the gym, I was teaching aerobics, I was teaching spin. Then I had all those fitness classes in school. And then I worked at the fitness center as an active living coordinator. But my sleep was off. Here's my symptoms: no social life. My sleep was non-existent. My hair was dry. My skin was dry. My nails were always breaking, falling. I had a lot of mood disorders. Like I would be so moody and very aggressive with people. I would snap easy. I cut out a lot of friendships. My boyfriend and I broke up because he didn't get my new goals in life. And then, so I guess that would be the main symptoms. At that point, I still was getting my period because I was on the pill.
Well,
so yeah,
that's kind of like, was it really a period? It probably was not. It wasn't the real period, right?
But the doctors didn't think there's anything wrong because I was still getting my period. And at that point, even though I'd gone to eating disorder counseling and I no longer was throwing up, it seemed to be accepted that I was over-exercising. That seemed to be more normal than, so then I was healing from the bulimia, but then I was also hiding out in this new bodybuilding culture where my overtraining was looked at like an athlete. Like, wow, look at her go. She can go. And plus getting straight A's in school and showing up like to present and to teach with this smile on my face. Well, you can't walk into your aerobics class and be Debbie Downer. You have to be fired up. And so I would fake it till I make it. So, but inside I was dying. I was so depressed. I was tired. I have psoriasis. I had bloating all the time because I was just so swollen with water. Like I had like a layer of water all over me. Just looked just brutal. So there you go. Like, it sounds so glamorous, huh?
So many things. And I'm glad that you mentioned as one of the symptoms, you said, I had no social life. I had to break up with my boyfriend. Like these things. So it shows that eating disorder and over exercising, they're not only about the physical health, but they do mess up your body. Yes, your physical body, but also what's outside of it. Because, our social life is as important as is our physical body, and you had no social life. So I think this is huge, and it's so worth mentioning.
Like, we're talking Christmas morning in Edmonton or at my parents' house in Dawson Creek, British Columbia. It gets to -40. Okay, I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit, but it is so cold that your eyelashes stick together. And here I am, Christmas morning at 25 years old, putting my balaclava on and going for a run before everybody gets up for Christmas breakfast.
I have done that too. Yes.
Yeah, you get it. The gyms are closed on Christmas Day, right?
Yes.
So you have to suffer, and nobody really called me out with the exercise stuff. They sort of let me do it. But then again, my parents always knew that I would do what I want anyway. But that's the kind of shit we did. Can I swear? Sorry, I didn't mean to swear.
Yeah, you can.
But that's
Go
the
ahead.
kind of insanity that's not healthy. You're coughing up blood because your lungs are frozen. It does not serve me. It's just unacceptable. Oh, hi.
Yes, my husband just came in.
That's the kind of disordered life but it was so important to me to get that workout in.
Yeah.
At all costs, right?
Yes, I agree. I remember I've done the same thing. And -40 in Celsius, it's a lot. It's very, very cold. I don't know either how much that is in Fahrenheit.
Vehicles don't even start.
Yes, yes.
It's frozen winter wonderland, and yet I'm out there trying to hustle and get a run in.
Yeah, totally.
Blue and
Yeah, and everybody's like, well, like you said, like, oh, she knows what she's doing. She's been like that forever, and that's what she does. Nobody's surprised even anymore, right?
Yeah, if I didn't do it, they'd be like, "Aren't you gonna go work out today?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
yeah, totally.
yeah,
So
that's
let's talk.
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it got pretty dark. It's a dark,
Yes,
yeah.
it is. So you did bodybuilding for a good 10 years, and that fact is pretty fascinating to me because I hear most people can handle really only about 5 years or so because it's so brutal. It's really hard on your body, on your mind. So how did you do it? I'm
Okay,
curious.
so my first show, I had a coach and I dieted 12 weeks out, and we started with 70 minutes of cardio a day. And I got on stage, and that was just my first show. I did my own hair and makeup, and that's the time. And those days, it was just a one-piece suit and then a black suit, but you couldn't do jewelry, makeup. It was just very plain. So we just stood there like figure girls, and we were critiqued on our symmetry and our poise. But that in those days, it was just bodybuilding, figure, and Miss Fitness. That's it. Where they do the gymnastics routine. But there was no bikini. There was none of those other categories. And so then after that show in Alberta, I made it to provincials. So I had to get better. So then it took a year to get better. So the following year, because I didn't really put the weight on I was supposed to, I kind of looked the same. So then every year I would just do one show just to get better at it. But then what happened was I would never let myself really have a full off season. I would still stay within my calories. So it wasn't until I was 35 that I actually started getting better. So now you're seeing me just trying to get better every year. That was my goal. Then when I got first call out in 2013, 2012, then I got more, because there was about 40 girls in my show. Then to get to top 10 and then to top 5, it took me a while. But nowadays there's 100 girls in a show and they're giving pro cards out left and right for being average. Back then it was extreme. You had to be like super crazy and really freaky on stage. So then it wasn't until until the last 2 years is when I really started seeing changes in my body, because I actually started putting muscle on, and then I had abs and I got rewarded for that body. But for the first 6 to 8 years, it was just, I would get not even top 10. So I had to work at it. So yeah, that's how I was able to compete every year and not burn out. Like some girls are competing 10 shows a year, and then that's why they quit after 5 years. So that's where that 10-year chunk comes in. But my last year on stage, my body didn't respond to the diet at all. And I'm a natural competitor. I've never even taken ephedrine or any kind of like fat burning stack. I always just relied on natural like cardio and deficit. But then I was in a division where other girls were on drugs. So that's on me to go into that division. However, so it was very difficult to try to get better every year without drugs.
Yeah, and I hear
comes in.
It's really common that your body at one point stops responding because it's like, I've had enough. I'm not going to do it anymore. And you can't force it. Like you can eat 0 calories, but you're still not going to get leaner anymore. It's just not possible, right?
Yeah, and then what the coaches would do was drop my calories to 700 and then 90 minutes of cardio. It's not responding because I'm not in a deficit even with 700 calories, because my body is storing, right? It's not going to let me. Then that's where that metabolic adaptation comes in. And so my body's now adapted to 700 calories, and then my hormones just shut down, and then that was it. I was so embarrassed that my family came to that competition. It was $60 a ticket, and they drove 9 hours to Red Deer, Alberta to watch me compete. I was just like, do not even come to the show. I was so embarrassed. My dad said, you used to play hockey, and wouldn't that be a little more fun than standing on stage in a bikini? What the hell are you doing? And so I was just mortified. That was when I took my bikini off. I'm like, bye, that's it, I'm done. And I went to the Women's Fitness Summit in Kansas City, Missouri with Molly Galbraith and Jen Sinkler, the Girls Gone Strong tribe. I went to that event and changed my life, because there's Jen Sinkler teaching Jefferson deadlifts and Molly, and they're well fed and they're strong and they've got curves. And I'm like, that's it. I need to do what they're doing. It changed my life.
So was that the time when you decided that you're going to start with more like strength-based training and less physique and switch to powerlifting?
I focused on what my body could do and not what it looked like. And I thrived. I hired Jordan Syatt. I'm not sure if you know Jordan Syatt.
I don't.
So he is a powerlifting coach, but now he mostly works with Gary Vaynerchuk. He's his trainer. But at that time, he was taking one-on-one clients. So I invested in myself. I invested in a coach, and he raised my calories. He cut my workouts to 4 a week with no cardio, just walking. And that's when I started. I really bought into this. Oh my goodness, I can get the same result or better and do half the work. What was I doing before?
How did your body respond to that change?
I gained a lot of weight. Yeah, I gained a lot of weight. When I went off the birth control pill that year, 2015, 2016, I gained 15 pounds within 3 months. Nothing fit me. I jumped from 115 to 130 within 3 months. I had no idea what the heck was going on because I guess the birth control pill, some people do gain weight when they go off of it. But then I also realized like I wasn't doing an hour of cardio every day. So I wasn't burning all those calories. And then I upped my calories. I went all in that sense. And you know what? It was really challenging, but it was worth it. And so since then my body leveled out again. You know, it sort of adapted, and I dropped back down without even trying to about 120. And then my hormonal doctor was like, hey, we got to keep that weight up. We got to get you feeding more, because being in my active job like you, I'm on the floor 9-10 hours a day with clients. And then, you know, training myself, that's still a lot of energy output.
Absolutely.
Then,
And even the weight numbers you're talking about now, 120, and these are still really low for most women. They're really low.
Now since I've been working on my HA, I've put on more weight. I'm probably back up to 130. I don't weigh myself because I don't want to know. In fact, my doctor on Wednesday, just this week, she just said, don't worry about it. We know you're gaining. It's fine. I don't want you to be triggered by this scale, because it doesn't matter what I weigh. If my period comes back at 120, 130, 140, it'll come back when I really start slowing down the stress and the worrying, and like you had to do, just go to walking and eating more. I think that's
the main key. That's the way to do it.
That's the way.
Yeah. So how does your eating and training look like now?
So right now I'm training with 2 other women. We are doing a bodybuilding split, upper, lower. Sometimes we'll just focus on delts, sometimes just on legs. Our training is about 45 minutes, 4 days a week. And then I walk to work when it's not freezing out. Like today I wouldn't be walking very far, but that's it for cardio. The other day I just did some sprints on the treadmill, and it felt so boring and stupid to be on a machine. Like I'm like, doesn't even serve me anymore. And then I walked by a step mill last week, and I was looking at this woman just hunched over on it, just grueling out this 70-minute workout. She was on there for at least an hour. And I was like, I could never do that again. And I wanted to go on the step mill and just pull her off and be like, there's a better way. You don't have to slave on this machine for an hour. Like, I just can't go on a machine anymore and sit there and burn calories. I can't believe I used to do that. So
how has your eating changed? Do you still count your calories? Do you track anything at all?
I don't. I think I messaged you once. I said, guess what? I deleted my MyFitnessPal.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't track calories anymore. I make sure that I'm fed. I eat till I'm satisfied, but not stuffed, because the stuffed feeling can trigger that bulimia in my head. Even though I'm a healed bulimic, I know that could be triggered, because once you have an eating disorder, it's always there. So by being open and honest about it, it'll keep me accountable, because you know how easy it would be to basically purge my food if I went back to that place? It's easy. It can happen like that. And I know that from my counseling. And so I eat till I'm satisfied, not stuffed. I eat whatever I feel like eating. Like yesterday, I ended up eating 3 bananas. Like, I just wanted the bananas for some reason. I don't know why. And so I let myself have a couple extra bananas. But before I'd be like, oh, that's too much carbs. You know, that's like 100. And then I would count them and be like, well, okay, well then now tonight I can't have any carbs. So I've just stopped tracking and just eating to what my body wants. It's really cool.
And you're still working right now to get your period back, right? Because it has not arrived yet, as far as I know.
Arrived. Like you mentioned me before we got on, ovulating, but I may not be. I'm getting closer. So I do have some cervical mucus and I feel like I'm ovulating, but I don't have a menstruation. So I need to obviously slow down a little bit more. And yes, I probably need to cut back on my training even more. It's hard for me to hear that. I'm not going to lie. It's very scary venturing into that place, but I know what needs to be done. And so when I'm ready to go all in, I'll let you know, Kirsten.
Let me know, because you know how I am. I'm like, do it. Like,
Yes.
just rip the Band-Aid off and do it, because you know, like we talked earlier before we got on to, and I just want others to kind of know as well that I've talked to women and I've had clients who've been working at like 8 months and 9 months and eat more and eat more, but they are not able to cut back or work it out. But then when they finally just take the big leap and do it, the period comes in like first month. I've seen it like several times already. I'm like, your body is still stressed out. Like, you do your sprints, and even if you say it's a short workout, it's only 20 minutes. But if you, in this 20 minutes, you do a sprint or you do some burpees, that's enough, right? Like, that's enough to stress your body out, and you don't want that. So,
well, my hypothalamus is like, we've been here before. This bitch is still going like crazy. Slow down. Like, it still triggers that hypothalamus to be like, no period. She's not a safe place for a baby.
yes.
Regardless if I want children or not, it's my right to have a hormonal profile of a woman that's vital and healthy. So regardless, if people say, why do you want your period? It's so annoying. You don't want kids, do you? That's not the point. Mm-hmm. Regardless, I want to have the vitality of a healthy woman, and not a menopausal 80-year-old woman with the bone density, issues. And I don't. So it's my right to get that back, and I need to listen to my body and do the right thing. It's hard because you have this practical brain and then you have the obsessive brain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. It's just
it's like good cop, bad cop.
And you just have to prioritize, really, because the longer you keep putting it off, the more it's probably going to damage your health. So that's why I encourage everyone to.
I sort of have this thing in my head that when I take a month to travel sometime, at some point, I'm going to just take a month and not train. It's hard to do it. I know, being in the fitness industry and being a leader, it's really hard to stop training. Mm-hmm. When you're demoing exercises and you're moving, and it's hard, but I know I can do it. So sorry to cut you off.
It is hard. And I remember struggling with it too, like, my physique is not the same anymore, and doing like some crunches just like to show, and then there's your belly rolls, all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I'm thinking, I don't want to give people the wrong impression of what fitness should look like. Right. And when I was really lean, I was like 15, 20 pounds lighter, and the way I looked, it looked good, yes, but it was wrong. It was wrong. And people who saw me that way, they thought it's all cool. This is right. This is the way fitness should look like, but it was not right. So in that sense, I want to show that, okay, bigger bodies can do it too. Bigger, like, fitness trainers come in all shapes and sizes. It's totally cool. Yeah.
And for me to stand in front of a crowd and say, when I was really lean, and say, this is sustainable for you, you can do it too. No, if you're training 7 days a week to look like I was looking, that's not sustainable. It's not healthy. And if you're micromanaging everything that goes in your mouth, I'm sorry, that is not health. That is obsession. I don't care who you are. Life, there's more to life than losing weight and tracking food.
So do you have some mindset tips for our listeners that would help to get better at this, to get like less bothered with how you look and be more accepting of your body, how it changes? What are your tips?
For me personally, I had to quit body checking in the mirror. I had to cover my mirrors. And I know this sounds stupid, but I had to not look at myself from the neck down while I was gaining my weight. I had to buy clothing that fit me and throw away clothes that didn't. I had to focus and surround myself with people that were on my same path, and I had to unfollow and unfriend all the former bodybuilders, figure competitors, bikini models that I used to be friends with, because they were not admitting that they too had a problem, and they were not serving me anymore as a friend or even as a colleague. So I had to bite the bullet and do that. It set me free. I had to admit to my parents, my friends, and my guys at work. Like, I work with a lot of men, and they were all on board for me gaining weight and getting healthy. And they always compliment my new body. And like, even though my body is none of their business, they always celebrate, like, wow, you're so strong. Like, you can back squat this and you can lift this much weight. And I mean, I'm 41 years old. I shouldn't try to be looking like a 20-year-old. It doesn't even make sense. So, how can I help others by being me and being me now and not pretending like you can be 41 and be shredded and still get your period and have children and do it all, because it's not normal.
Mm.
So my tips are to unfollow anyone that triggers you, to maybe stop body checking and buy clothes that fit you right now.
Yeah, it's very important. And I would just like to add that anyone don't take what you just said, that you have to look like shredded when you're 21. You don't.
No.
You don't. And it's absolutely normal, and it's healthy for women to carry some body fat. It's okay to have a soft belly. It's all cool. It's actually healthier for you than being super ripped.
That's a great point. But what I'm saying is, when I was 21, I don't want to compare my 21-year-old body to my 41. Because at 21, I mean, that's when I was consumed with my eating disorder. So for me, I don't want to compare my 21-year-old self, but I want women that are 21 right now to know that there's a better way to live your life. I like that you corrected that, because I don't want anyone younger thinking that they have to be leaner because they're younger. Yeah. There's no one size fits all or a perfect body out there. So.
Yeah, exactly. And just comparing to others is not a great idea, but even just comparing to your previous version of yourself, because we go through different phases and stages in our lives, and we cannot be always the same. It's totally normal.
We're not supposed to. Like, we can't always look at ourselves when we go through puberty to when we go through, our 20s, to have postnatal, prenatal, menopause. Like, we're going to look different in our different phases of life, and that's completely fine. Everything is temporary, and we're so blessed to have, the knowledge and the experience now on the other side of it to help others.
Yeah.
Right? We're blessed to have gone through it to help others.
That's true. And also, sometimes I have girls who tell me that, I got my period, they have HA right now, and they're like, I got my period when I was, 17 years old. This is the last time I had it. Gained all the weight back. Where is my period? I'm like, you are 10 years older than you were back then. At 17, your body was not even, it wasn't like fully developed. You were not a woman yet. You were still a girl. So you can't expect to be the same, like, at every point of your life.
No, and that's what I was telling my doctor on Wednesday. Like, I put the weight back onto where I menstruated before, but I still don't have a menstruation. And that's when she reminded me. But that was also, a different, like you just said, I was a different human being. I was going through different stressors. I was cycling differently. And, but I feel like being on this side, being at my age, I want to help other women my age realize that it's not too late to try to get it back. You're not done for. Maybe you're not in perimenopause yet. Maybe you still can cycle healthy without, going on the pill again. A lot of times the doctor just wants to put you back on the pill to get a cycle. And I could have done that, but I decided not to.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to get it back with going all in, like you say.
Yeah, because as we all know, pills don't give you real periods.
No.
But talking about helping other women, so how exactly are you doing it? What kind of products or services are you offering?
Well, I offer one-on-one private coaching at a private studio here in Edmonton. I also have online clients, just a few. I'm not really venturing too much on the online space because I'm so busy with the one-on-ones in my private gym. So one-on-one coaching, we talk mindset, nutrition. I don't give diets. I preach all things in moderation, including moderation. I run a few classes a week for some nurses, some private, some semi-private classes. They've hired me just for, a small group of 4 to 6. And I also do some public speaking here in Edmonton. I'm on CTV News every second Monday with my colleague, Paul Placas. And we talk all about fitness and mindset and nutrition. And we debunk a lot of the crap that's going on in the industry so that we can help people locally. But yeah, that's what I do. And I've done it for 20 years, over 20 years. Mm-hmm. So I've seen it all. I have over 20,000 hours on the floor with personal training clients. And I used to teach group exercise, but not anymore. I stick to just small private training now.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
You are also working on something pretty awesome right now. Why don't you tell us more about that?
Well, a woman named Isa Fontabella has come all the way from Spain to do her PhD on body dysmorphia with my colleague and friend Leanne McTavish, who is a former bodybuilder herself. She decided as a feminist to go through the whole bodybuilding procedure all the way to stage and then write a autoethnography on how, as a feminist, her body changed and she was treated as an overweight, moderate weight woman in her 40s to then being shredded on stage and looking almost like a small boy. And so the way that and then the post-competition weight gain. So she's got photos of herself naked, pre, during, and post-competition, and then her body dysmorphia and what happened from that. So then when Isa saw her book, now Isa's doing her PhD on the same thing. But we've collaborated because Isa is 31, I'm 41, and Leanne McTavish is 51. So 3 generations of women, all competitors, all gone through a show, what our experience is now like post-competition as a normal woman again, and what that adventure was like, and how we talk to ourselves, and body check, and pinch. And it gets pretty dark when we talk about some of the shit we did to get on stage, and some of the unbelievable health risks we took. Isa will show a picture of her tongue, which was blue, because at that point her body was shutting down because she was so underfed and overtrained, but she looked ripped. So it gets pretty interesting. So we have to submit our idea to the ethics department at the University of Alberta. So our publication will probably not be out for a year at least. It takes a while to get published, so I'm excited about it.
I am very excited about it too, and I can't wait to read this and see this thing, because I think it's a so valuable message that you're, spreading. If once it gets out, so it's so cool.
I think the thing is people, unless you've done a bodybuilding show or done something like extreme, like maybe weight cut for a gymnast or a ballerina, where they have to stay so small. But because it's such a small percentage of people that we're talking to, the ethics department may look at it and be like, well, is there really an issue with body dysmorphia in the bodybuilding community? But there is a massive issue for men too.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. So we are getting close to our last 3 questions that I wanted to ask you. So
good.
I hopefully surprise you. So why don't you tell me first 1 to 3 diet or fitness myths that you wish died for good?
I just went down the rabbit hole with the ketogenic diet with a client. Okay, every diet works. Let's not get that twisted. Every diet will work. But what's happening with the ketogenic diet is it's portrayed as this magical thing, that there's a magical mystery in butter that's going to make you stop, make you start burning fat. And I want that to die. The ketogenic diet's been around for 30 years. I mean, I remember talking about it in college in Grand Prairie when I was 20. So there's nothing magical about your keto diet. It gets you into a caloric deficit. Carbs aren't the evil enemy. So I wanted to stop that right there. Ketogenic, relax, okay? You're not something magical.
Exactly. You just ate 3 bananas a day. I mean, that would have been your carbs for a week, or maybe even more, for like 2 weeks.
Diet where I gotta pee on a stick, forget it. Okay, life is too short. I'm not peeing on a stick to see if I'm in ketosis every day.
It's insanity.
And I never believed that low carb diets were sustainable for me, or for and my clients anyway.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So what would your perfect day look like?
Ooh, I love this question because it seems so self-indulgent to talk about yourself.
Let's do it.
Day would be to sleep in and no alarm clock, because I get up like you early every morning. I like to sleep in, drink coffee. I love a good cup of coffee with some cream and sugar. It's maybe till around 11 in the morning. Have a nice few breakfast, like maybe pancakes, and then go train. I know eventually I have to slow down on the training, but that's the perfect day. Train with the girls, and then maybe go for a nice dinner somewhere and drink wine and maybe have sex, throw that in there at night.
All amazing things. Amazing things.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. the last question I want to ask you is, what's something you're really absolutely loving right now?
I am loving this public speaking course I'm taking with a local celebrity. Her name is Carrie Dahl. And Carrie Dahl was a news anchor for over 10 years. And she's offered a public speaking course, and I'm taking it so that I can level up and speak to larger audiences on body image and learn how to project, listen, and not say, So that was what I'm fired up about it, because I think getting in front of a large audience is a good skill to have, no matter who you are. So that's what I'm really excited about.
That's so cool. That's very, very exciting. All right. So if any of our listeners has questions to you, where they can find you?
Well, I'm on Instagram at Deanna Harder. I'm on Facebook at Deanna Harder, and Twitter at Deanna Harder. And then I do have a WordPress. I haven't published there for a while, but it's deannaharderfitness.com. So, but there's no other Deanna Harder so far, so I haven't had to I bought that name, that domain, so we'll see if I do something with it soon.
Do something with it, because you have so many things to share.
Oh, thank you so much, Kirsten, and so do you. I found you through the Hypothalamic Amenorrhea group, and I really, really connected with your message, and you're the one that really got me thinking, I might have to do this all-in thing.
Sure. I'm glad I could help. And I really hope that your period will come back soon with all the other health benefits that you are actually already experiencing, but it can get better than that. Even better than that.
Definitely.
Yes.
You're so cute too. Did you know that?
I did not. Thank you.
You're so sweet. And I really enjoy watching your Instagram stories too.
Right.
With that little cup. I don't know what that little.
Oh, God. Yeah, so there's this thing, if you have never seen it, if you don't know what we're talking about, at the gym, our gym where I'm working at, Ice Chamber, is the best gym in the area for sure, but people leave these tiny little water cups on dumbbells. And
they're always there.
They're always there. It's like a pet peeve of mine, and I'm just like policing around in the gym.
You had one in your car. There was one on the floor in your car.
That was a mystery. I got in my car, I'm like, how is that? And I thought they're like haunting me. It's insanity. But then I realized that I actually gave someone a ride the other day from gym to the train station. And I think it may have been her. And I hope there's no ghosts or anything.
Oh my goodness, it's hilarious. But I think people are going to really enjoy that. If they haven't watched your stories, get in there.
Get in there. Look. Yeah. All right. It has been so much fun. Thank you so much, Deanna, for coming on, and I will talk to you hopefully again.
You bet. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.